Good evening, children. So, today we have to start from chapter 6 of Tess of the D'Urbervilles. And as I mentioned earlier, the words may differ because most of the children has Collins edition. I'm reading from Collins book. Okay, so for the others, I've shared the PDF. Some words I may read might differ. Okay. Tess went down the hill to Trantridge Cross and inattentively waited to take her seat in the van returning from Chaseborough to Shaston. Now she's coming from Alec's place. She's returning. Okay. She did not know what the other occupants said to her as she entered, though she answered them, and when they had started anew, she rode along with an inward and not an outward eye. She's not comfortable. Okay. One among her fellow travellers addressed her more pointedly than any had spoken before. Why, you be quite a posy, and such roses in early June. Now they are commenting about the roses she has on her basket, on her hat, in her breast. Okay. Then she became aware of the spectacle she presented to their surprised vision. Roses at her breast, roses in her hat, roses and strawberries in her basket to the brim. She blushed and said confusedly that the flowers had been given to her. When the passengers were not looking, she stealthily removed the more prominent blooms from her hat and placed them in the basket where she covered them with a handkerchief. Then she fell to reflecting again, and in looking downwards, a thorn of the rose remaining in her breast accidentally pricked her chin. Like all the cottages in Blackmore Vale, Tess was steeped in fancies and prefigurative superstitions. She thought this is an ill omen, the first she had noticed that day. Now, you see how she acted when the people pointed out the roses. Okay, she quickly, like when they were not looking, she quickly removed the roses and hid them in her basket. Okay. The van traveled only so far as Sashton, and there were several miles of pedestrian descent from that mountain town into the vale to Marlet. Her mother had advised her to stay here for the night at the house of a cottage woman. They knew if she would feel too tired to come on, and this Tess did, not descending to her home till the following afternoon. When she entered the house, she perceived in a moment from her mother's triumphant manner that something had occurred in the interim. Now, when she went home, her mother was, you know, we can see the mother's reaction. Oh, yes, I know all about it. I told you it would be all right, and now it is proved. Since I've been away, what has? Said Tess rather wearily. Her mother surveyed the girl up and down with arch approval and went on banteringly. So you have brought him round? What happens? What's what's Tess's mother's reaction? What does she say? Oh, of course. Yeah, she's convinced. Okay, she like she wants to win over. Okay, how do you know, mother? I've had a letter. Tess then remembered that there would have been time for this. They say Mrs. D'Urberville says that she wants you to look after a little fowl farm which is her hobby. But this is only her artful way of getting ye there without raising your hopes. She's going to own ye as kin, that's the meaning of it. Okay, now we see that Tess is getting a job offer from um, Mrs. D'Urberville. Okay, but I didn't see her. Now, did did Tess see Mrs. D'Urberville? Did she meet Mrs. D'Urberville for her to get a job offer? Exactly. She did not, she never saw, until this point, she never saw Mrs. D'Urberville, but still, she had, like, as soon as she arrived home, she gets to know about a job offer that she's being invited to. Okay? So, there is something odd, right? We can sense something odd. All right. You said somebody, I suppose. I saw her son. And did he own it? Well, he called me cuss, and I knew it. Jackie, he called her cuss, cried Joan to her husband. Well, he spoke to his mother, of course. And she do want either. But I don't know that I'm up to attending foul, said the dubious Tess. Then I don't know who is up. You've been born in the business and brought up in it. They that be born in a business always know more about it than any apprentice. Besides, that's only just a show of something for you to do, that you mightn't feel beholden. I don't altogether think I ought to go, said Tess thoughtfully. Who wrote the letter? Will you let me look at it? Mrs. Deville wrote it. Here it is. The letter was in the third person, and briefly informed Mrs. Durbeyfield that her daughter's services would be useful to that lady in the management of her poultry farm, that a comfortable room would be provided for her if she could come, and that the wages would be on a liberal scale if they liked her. Oh, that's all, said Tess. You couldn't expect her to throw her arms round you and to kiss and to call you all at once. Tess looked down the window. I would rather stay here with father and you, she said. But why? I'd rather not tell you why, mother. Indeed, I don't quite know why. Now what happens? Yes, what happens? She comes home and she gets to know, okay, there is a letter that is being sent from Mrs. D'Urberville's place, telling that she wants to hire her, she wants to give her a job, she wants to offer her a job. Okay, and then she wants, like, the first confusion she gets is she had never seen Mrs. D'Urberville until this point. Okay, that's the first confusion. And the next one is um the letter. When she gets the letter to her hand, when she takes the letter to her hand and read it, it was written in third person form, and what else? It was written briefly. Okay, it didn't sound like a job offer sent, like it didn't sound so official. It was some sort of an informal letter saying, okay, she wants you to come, that's it, you'll get a room, okay, and all. It was super short, it was super brief. Okay, and here Tess says that I would rather stay with you and father. Okay, she says to her mother that she would rather stay with um her mother and father. But does she say the reason to her mother? Like, why does she want to stay? Why doesn't she want to go? Yes, if she goes, she gets a job, she gets a nice salary. Okay? But why doesn't she want to go? She doesn't say the reason. Okay, she doesn't say the reason to her mother. Like, she actually doesn't want to go to that place. She doesn't want to go to Mrs. Durbeyfield's place. Okay, but she doesn't give a reason. A week afterwards, she came in one evening from an unavailing search for some light occupation in the immediate neighborhood. Her idea had been to get together sufficient money during the summer to purchase another horse. Hardly had she crossed the threshold before one of the children danced across the room, saying, "The gentleman's been here." Her mother hastened to explain, smiles breaking from every inch of her person. Mrs. D'Urberville's son had called on horseback, having been riding by chance in the direction of Marlet. He had wished to know finally, in the name of his mother, if Tess could really come to manage the old lady's fowl farm or not. Okay, just mark this and keep it. Okay, he had wished to know finally, in the name of his mother, if Tess could really come to manage the old lady's fowl farm or not. Okay, until this part, just highlight it or underline it or just mark it and keep. Okay, because it's important. Okay, because this is actually a part of Alex um plan. Okay, from the beginning, it's his plan which is being initiated. All right. um and yes, The lad who had hitherto superintended the birds having proved untrustworthy. Mr. D'Urberville says you must be a good girl if you are at all as you appear. He knows you must be worth your weight in gold. He is very much interested in ye, truth to tell. Tess seemed for the moment really pleased to hear that she had won such high opinion from a stranger when in her own esteem she had sunk so low. Okay, she is some sort of happy about herself because she was guilty conscious, and now when someone else praises her like this, she feels a bit happy about herself. It is very good of him. It is very good of him to think that, she murmured, and if I was quite sure how it would be living there, I would go anywhere. He's a mighty handsome man. I don't think so, said Tess coldly. You see, when Tess's mother is in a very positive aspect about about Alec, um, Tess is not like that. Tess doesn't speak any positive words about Alec. Okay, she rejects. She ignores the fact that she has to go now. All right. Well, there's a chance, whether or no, and I'm sure he wears a beautiful diamond ring. Okay, we can see the materialistic life of these people. Okay, materialistic needs, materialistic interests that these people have. Yes, said little Abraham brightly from the window bench, and I said it. And it did twinkle when he put his hand up to his moustaches. Mother, why did our grand relation keep on putting his hand up to his moustaches? Hark at that child, cried Mrs. Durbeyfield, with parenthetic admiration. Perhaps to show Perhaps to show his diamond ring, murmured Sir John dreamily from his chair. I'll think it over, said Tess, leaving the room. Now, she has not proved, she has not confirmed that she's going, but still, the people in the house, her family members, are in that conclusion that Tess would definitely go to Mr. Alex's house. All right. Um. Yes. Well, she's made a conquest of the young branch of us. Straight off, continued the matron to her husband, and she's a fool if she don't follow it up. I don't quite like my children going away from home, said the haggler. As the head of the family, the rest ought to come to me. Okay, we can see the proud nature of the father. Okay, like he says, I don't quite like my children going away from home. Now, he says this, does he say this while having a job, while having a method of um, coming wage to him? No, right? He doesn't have any job at the moment. Even the horse is dead. Okay, they don't have any method of income, but still he is proud. He says it proudly. I don't like my children going out. Okay, working in others places. Okay, you can see the proud nature. Okay, the vanity of the father. All right, but do let her go, Jackie, coaxed his poor witless wife. He's struck with her. You can see that. He called her cause he'll marry her most likely and make a lady of her, and then she'll be what her forefathers was. All right, you can see this mother, Tessa's mother, is in a very fantasy world, in a very imaginative world. Okay, like she's in that imaginative world, and she's already making a family for Tess. Okay, she's going there and they are marrying. Okay, he's putting a diamond ring and all. You see, that doesn't work, right? You can see the imaginative or the fantasy of the mother, of Tessa's mother. Joan Durbeyfield. Now, the main thing is Tess has not even confirmed that she's going. Okay, even before everything, only this who Tess's mother is planning all these stuff. Joan Durbeyfield John Debberfield had more conceit than energy or health, and this supposition was pleasant to him. Well, perhaps that's what young Mr. D'Urberville means, he admitted. And sure enough, he may have serious thoughts about improving his blood by linking onto the old line. Says the little rogue. And have she really paid him a visit to such an end as this? Meanwhile, Tess was walking thoughtfully among the gooseberry bushes in the garden and over Princess' grave. When she came in, her mother perceived her advantage. Well, what be you going to do? She asked. I wish I had seen Mrs. D'Urberville, said Tess. I think you may as well settle it. Then you'll see her soon enough. Her father coughed in his chair. I don't know what to say, answered the girl restlessly. It is for you to decide. I killed the old horse, and I suppose I ought to do something to get you a new one. But, I don't quite like Mr. D'Urberville being there. Okay, did you understand what's happening until now? We can see that Tess is, um, you know, um, she has a guilty feeling inside her, okay, because, like, because of the prince's death, because of the horse's death, okay, and as well as we can see how the mother blackmails Tess emotionally, okay, how she threatens Tess emotionally, all right, verbally and emotionally, and this um like this is part of, like, actually Tess's mother wants her to go. Okay, she doesn't think about anything else about Tess's safety, no, nothing. Okay, she just wants Tess to go there and form a bond between her and Alec. All right. So when talking about Tess, when seeing the story from Tess's side, we can see even though she doesn't like to go to Mrs. D'Urberville's place, she um she says okay, she um, what do you call, she confirms it, or else she says okay to her mother's wish. Why? Because of the guilty feeling she has her within herself. Okay, the children who had made use of this idea of Tess being taken up by their wealthy kinsfolk, which they imagined the other family to be, as a species of dollar-refuge after the death of the horse, began to cry at Tess's reluctance and teased and reproached her for hesitating. Tess won't go and be made a lady of. No, she says she won't. They wailed with squaw mouths, and we shan't have a nice new horse and lots of golden money to buy fairings, and Tess won't look pretty in her best clothes no more. You see? You see how she threatens her emotionally? Or she actually makes Tess guilty for all that. Okay? She says, okay, now we don't get a new horse, okay, she won't look pretty in her new clothes and all. See, her mother chimed into the same tune. A certain way she had of making her labors in the house seem heavier than they were by prolonging them indefinitely, also weighed in the argument. Her father alone preserved an attitude of neutrality. I will go, said Tess at last. Okay, she agrees to go because of her guilty feeling and for the sake of her mother. All right. Her mother could not repress a consciousness of the nuptial vision conjured up by the girl's consent. That's right, for such a pretty maid as this is a fine chance. Tess smiled crossly. I hope it is a chance for earning money. It is no other kind of chance. You had better say nothing of that silly sort about parish. You see, Tess doesn't have anything of that sort uh, in her mind. Okay, that's right. For such a pretty maid as Tess, this is a fine chance. Tess smiled crossly. I hope it is a chance for earning money. It is no other kind of chance. Okay? She directly says that it's just nothing else. All right? She directly says it. So, marriage is, especially marriage with Alec, is not something uh, she hopes for or she wishes for. All right? You had better say nothing of that silly sort about Parrish. Mrs. D'Urberville did not promise. She was not quite sure that she did not feel proud enough of the visitor's remarks to say a good deal. Thus it was arranged, and the young girl wrote, agreeing to be ready to set out on any day on which she might be required. She was duly informed that Mrs. d'Urberville was glad of her decision, and that a spring car should be sent to meet her and her luggage at the top of the vale on that day after the morrow, when she must hold herself prepared to start. Mrs. d'Urberville's handwriting seemed rather masculine. What happens? Now everything was arranged, and um, everything was arranged, and she's like she has taken the decision to go. Okay, she told her family members that okay, she's going, I'm going to go and all. And she might have told, okay, because we have to um, notify them now. Okay, we agreed to the job offer or something. So after that, she gets a letter again. And how does that letter seem? What can we tell about that letter? Yes, from where can we prove that point? This line, Mrs. D'Urberville's handwriting seemed rather masculine. Okay, so which is probably Mrs. D'Urberville is not the person who has written the letter. Who who might have written according to you? Who might have written the letter? What do you think? To be the letter to be masculine, the handwriting to be masculine. Yeah, of course. Alec might have written. All right, so let's see. Um, a cart, murmured Joan Durbeyfield doubtingly. It might have been a carriage for her own king. Having at last taken her course, Tess was less restless and abstracted, going about her business with some self-assurance in the thought of acquiring another horse for her father by an occupation which would not be onerous. She had hoped to be a teacher at the school, but the fates seemed to decide otherwise. All right, so we can see the um, dreams collapsing. We can see Tessa's dreams, her wishes, her hopes are collapsing. All right. Being mentally older than her mother, she did not regard Mrs. D'Urberville's matrimonial hopes for her in a serious aspect for a moment. The light minded woman had been discovering good matches for her daughter almost from the year of her birth. Just see, like marriage in that particular time was, we can see, right? Hardy talking about marriage. Okay, Hardy reflecting on the social view of marriage in the Victorian era. Okay, it was like the marriage was treated as something like necessary, something as a necessity for women, like especially women. Okay, because like it was actually the term marriage was actually being regarded as some sort of a protection or security for a woman. Okay, so we can see Hardy proving that point. We can see Tessa's mother discovering good matches for her daughter almost from the year of her birth. From the year of her birth, in the sense, not even like she was so little, but from that moment onwards until this moment, until this present situation, she still finds good matches for her daughter. Okay, so we can see the social view of the aspect of marriage. Okay, so yes, from there we finish chapter 6, and I've sent you the note for chapter 6 in both the groups. Okay, you can copy them down, and the difficult words have been sent. Okay, you can write them as well. You can, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. All right. um Before that, do you have any doubts in this chapter 6? Chapter 6, any doubts, any doubtful areas that you want me to explain again? Everything's clear to everyone? Okay, then let's end the session. Okay. Join from 10 minutes. Okay, join in another 10 minutes so we can continue with chapter 7. Okay.